What? Bang!
Pro Wrestling Podcast. Just when they think they got the answers, I change the question.
Rep through rep.
Yeah.
Woo! Who are you to doubt El Dandy? Because this guy's a serious professional.
Did he do it?
Too hot to handle and too cold to hold. And I am the Macho King named Savage.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty. I said WWE stands for... It's me, Austin. I will never retire.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, welcome to the show where we don't sing it, we bring it. Help us out and click subscribe to show your support. Hey, look, are you sick and tired of dropping far too much money every single year for the latest and greatest wrestling game? Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable. Totally free. app.wrestlerunstoppable.com. That's the website where you can create a wrestler, sign contracts, get into storylines, headline PLEs, even build your own corporation from the ground up, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable. Like I said, totally free. Just go to app.wrestlerunstoppable.com. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family, you want your name in the shoutouts like my good buddy John down in Texas, then you got to pop over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sign up today. There's multiple tiers. Here's the deal. If you just want to get a notification every time we put something out there, that's fine. It's totally free. Every time we put something up, they'll send you an email right to your email box, let you know we have a new show up. If you want to contribute monetarily and help the show, we appreciate that. It helps keep the lights on, keeps us bringing content. Any monetary contribution gets you a shout out on the show. If you want to be a part of the show, you want to host with me, $15 a month contributors get to co-host with me. $7.50 a month gets entered into a drawing to also co-host. I would love to do that, share the mic with you guys, and create some content together. That being said, if you've got questions, comments, something you want me to touch on in the future episode, give me a shout at the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line, 267-642-1160, and I will get to those questions, comments, or concerns in a future episode. Tonight, I am Dr. Fro. Welcome to the show. We are jumping into AEW Dynamite, reactions and review and analysis. The show started off really solid. Will Osprey, Henare, Francisco Akira taking on the Don Callis family. Brian Cage, who is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world. Lance Archer, also incredibly underrated, and Rocky Romero. This match, obviously, Will Ospreay's not taking a loss anytime before we get to Wembley. He ends up beating Romero at the end with a hidden blade. It's a great match, though, to start the show, and it's a perfect television match. And right from the get-go of this, you could tell something was interesting about the night. Tony Khan is really great at putting a lot of content into his shows. They jam-packed this show, and from the opening match, it just had a feel like we were going to see a lot of action this time. And there's a lot less theatrics, a lot less of these, silly vignettes that WWE likes to do. And I'm not knocking WWE because they have their style. But in this show, there actually were some vignettes and interviews, and it still had a ton of action to watch. So from there, we get to Kazuchika Okada being interviewed, talking about the triple threat for the International Championship at Wembley against Kyle Fletcher, the defending champion, and Konosuke Takeshita. And he made it clear that it was all about keeping the championship within the Don Callis family, that if Kyle Fletcher retains, that's good. If he becomes the new international champion, that's also good. Basically making it sound very clear that he doesn't care who walks out from the family as long as the family keeps the belt. But also, obviously, playing that up a little bit so that it's still obvious he would like to be champion. You get a very different feel in the next segment where Tony Schiavone is interviewing Kyle Fletcher, who also is talking about the match. And he makes it clear that he thinks Okada should be basically his right-hand man to help ensure that he retains the championship, almost implying, because they have a mutual hatred of Takeshita, that they should team up and then let him win. That's the vibe I got. Now, that is very different from what Okada said. So you know as well as I do, this is leading towards a feud between Okada and Fletcher. Now, who becomes the babyface in that? I assume it's going to be Kyle Fletcher. The AEW would be silly not to realize that he could be the biggest babyface that company has ever had if they book it correctly. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, Konosuke Takeshita does come out. He attacks Kyle Fletcher, lays him out, stands tall with that international championship. And I'm going to tell you, I love that they did these interview segments so close together, two very different perspectives. It's really telling a great story about the match. I'm looking forward to this triple threat as much as probably almost any match on the card for All In. I really think they're going to try to steal the show. And these three guys, if anybody has the chance to do that, they are the ones that can do that. So I'm very excited about the match. Now, from there, we get another segment. This is Renee Paquette talking to Will Osprey and Kenny Omega. What I loved about this, and I feel like almost like Tony Khan wanted to get all the talking stuff out of the way early. There's a little bit sprinkled in later, but this was all about Osprey and Omega going all the way back to 2015 Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, an organization that is, for the time being totally shut down, but that they had both been through. And it's like, if you ever want to check out some incredible wrestling, go watch a PWG show on the internet. It's a who's who of superstars, megastars that have gone through that. Talk about that, then they bring it through all the way into New Japan Pro Wrestling, all the different factions that they had been through, the feuds and whatnot. Will Ospreay actually gets very, very animated about the COVID time. How Kenny was still wrestling here for AEW while he was in New Japan, where like he was confined to what he described as a glorified broom closet. And it was just so different. And where he actually referenced the fact that when Kenny Omega was the prime star over in New Japan, he was coming on the heels of all the work of people like Hiroshi Tanahashi, Hiroshi Tenzan, Masa Chono, people like that who had laid the groundwork, Okada and people like that, and Tetsuya Naito. And how he had to do something very different because of the pandemic. They bring it forward. They talk about the Don Callis family and that involvement. And Kenny, what I really liked about this is Kenny brought up legit history. And he didn't shy away from names. He was, Don Callis promised him he was going to win gold in AEW. He promised him he was going to win gold in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And he even said he promised he'd win gold in TNA. And he did win gold in TNA. He was the AEW TNA World Heavyweight Champion simultaneously. And there was a lot of truth to this. And by the end of the interview, something becomes very apparent to me. Kenny Omega is playing the heel in this feud. And I don't know if I like that. I really don't. We just got the Bucks to turn face recently. I'd like to keep it that way for a while. I don't like, yo-yoing somebody about being face and heel. I think sometimes you just need some consistency there. I don't necessarily need somebody to spend their entire career as a baby face, the Ricky Steamboat approach, even though it worked for him. But I don't want to see heel turns for the sake of like one pay-per-view, or even a couple pay-per-views. It's just not making much sense if you're just going to change up, what you're doing a couple months later and go back to being babyface again. I don't know. It's interesting. But I did love the entire segment. Again, this was a very, very good segment. From there, Maya World, Chris Statlander, Hikaru Shida, Persephone battling for the TBS title in a fatal four-way. And here's the thing. I suspect that the TBS Championship will be on the line in Wembley. It should be on the line at Wembley. But when you're doing a match like this before Wembley, how do you then justify a Wembley match? The match is a great match, and Persephone looked amazing in this match. She really, in my opinion, was the biggest star in this match. Maya World does retain the championship. Statlander going for a finisher gets reversed into a roll-up by Maya World. Kudos to her. She, won the championship. I'm glad to see her getting some solid defenses against people at the top of AEW's card. But, I'm just not sure where they go with this at Wembley because I feel like every major championship should be showcased there in some way, shape, or form. From there, another segment in the back, Brawling Birds promo on Divine Dominion. Both teams undefeated. This is going to be a knockdown dragout. I think it's going to be a phenomenal match, and I really do think that this is the time to switch the championship, put it on the Brawling Birds in Wembley. Let Jamie Hayter have that moment. I think that would mean the world to her. And they've really done a good job of not rushing this. They didn't like hot potato the women's tag team championship. They've built Divine Dominion up to being almost unstoppable, and I like that. So whenever they do fall, it's going to mean more. So very solid promo segment. From there, we get Jon Moxley versus Jay White. This is part of the Continental Classic qualifiers. This was probably match of the night. This was really solid, and even though nobody in their right mind predicted that Jon Moxley would lose, because he's not going to, he's going to win. He's the Continental Champion, so he has to win if he's going to defend his championship in the finals, which I suspect he will. But Jay White looked amazing in this match. This is only, I think, the second time they've wrestled since they've both been in AEW. The match was great, top to bottom. Little surprised Moxley wasn't shaking Jay White's hand, but after the bell, the dogs hit the ring, and you've got David Finlay, Clark Connors out there. They start attacking. Then Orange Cassidy comes out. Kyle O'Reilly comes out. They, try to even things up. From there, a returning Gabe Kidd appears, which a lot of people surprised because the G1 just wrapped up. Gabe Kidd back, and then Roderick Strong comes out to try to even the odds again. Strong gets taken out. And then, oddly, the Trios champions come out. Hangman Page, Bandito, Brody King, they come out, their music hits, they clear the ring. Then the Demand come out, and they're looking for some action. The Lethal Twist come out, they're looking for action. Everybody's out there looking for a shot at these six-man tag team titles, which you really weren't even supposed to be focusing on. This was supposed to be a singles match for the Continental Championship, and it turns into a promo situation over the Trios titles, and we find out that the Trios champions do want to defend those championships at Wembley. And they're basically putting out an open challenge to anybody at Wembley. We'll get back to that in a little bit, because from there, we find out there's another backstage segment where Maya World is being interviewed, and Willow Nightingale walks in, the AEW Women's Champion, talking to the TBS Champion, telling her that she had promised her when she beat Tekla that she would get the first shot at the Women's Championship. So that's going to take place this Saturday night on Collision. Fantastic. Get it out of the way so everybody can focus on what they need to focus on for the Wembley show. But, at least it gets that promise out of the way, and Willow Nightingale's not a hypocrite before she goes on to face Mone at the pay-per-view. From there, we get an impromptu, Jonathan Cruz is talking trash about Andrade on behalf of MJF. It leads to a match between Andrade and Jonathan Cruz, which, of course, Andrade destroys him in. Odd segment for me. I really would like to see some physicality between MJF and Andrade before we get to Wembley. I know we still have a little bit of time, but I just feel like it's not doing what they need to be doing right now to get this over. From there, Willow Nightingale, Mercedes Moné segment, interview. It gets very profanity laden. It ends up getting physical. They spill out into the arena, beating each other up. Love this. We needed to see some physicality from them. There's so many people expecting a Monet win here because, Mercedes Moné, since she got to AEW, she's collected every championship there was to collect, then lost every championship there was to collect. What is left for her to do? Win the AEW Women's Championship. She probably should have done that while she had 9,000 other belts and didn't. So this is really the time to put it on her. And since she was on camera at Wembley the last time they were there, it just makes a lot of sense. Full circle moment. I really think this is going to be a phenomenal match. Again, one that could try to steal the show. Mercedes is always trying to steal the show. She's one of the hardest working women in the business, but very excited to see where this goes. From there, Swerve Strickland interview talking Trios Championships, referencing the challenge put out there by Brodito and Hangman Page. This again, and I mentioned earlier, I said we get back to it. This again is where I feel like we're going to see the arrival of Austin Creed and Kofi to team up with Swerve to accept that open challenge and potentially win the Trios Championships on their debut night for the New Day. So I'm not going to say it's definite, but that's where my head's going. That's where I think a lot of people's heads are going. And hopefully that's exactly what we get to see. From there, a match that I didn't think was going to happen. Nigel McGuinness, who's been reported as being injured, taking on Hechicero. Again, Continental Qualifier. A solid match all around. These are two very talented guys, with Hechicero being the CMLL World Champion right now. Nigel McGuinness doesn't wrestle as regularly anymore, but all of his matches are really meaningful. This was solid work, top to bottom. And McGinnis picks up the win. I was surprised because of the potential injury. And then, from there, you have to wonder, was this injury angle all a work? Because now McGinnis is going into the next round of the Continental Championship. And what is he going to win the tournament and then go to Wembley to win that championship? I mean, I think that would be phenomenal if he did. I really think it would be a special moment. And he's the kind of guy that you wouldn't see beating Moxley for the championship, but I think it makes a lot of sense. So we'll have to keep our eye on that. But he picks up the win here, moves on in the tournament. From there, we get a Kevin Knight moment where he's talking about Darby Allin. Darby Allin ends up coming out and gets hit with a bunch of pyro. I feel like this was set up for a reason. I understand Kevin Knight, Darby Allin are supposed to have a match at Wembley. But the pyro going off on Darby Allin, now there's reports that it was legit, it was fake, I don't know. I'm going to lean towards the stage side of things for this reason. After the pyro goes off, he's, being taken care of by the medical team, and Stephen Borden, who, if you don't know, is the son of the Stinger. He is Sting's son, who is with AEW, has a contract, new in the business. He comes out to support Darby. Now, if you don't know, he trained with Darby, slept in a tent outside Darby's property. They go through wrestling training. And then he was in the ambulance when they were leaving and all this stuff. I feel like maybe they're going to pull a switch on us and take Darby out of the match and have Stephen Borden wrestle against Kevin Knight at Wembley, which I don't want to see them do. Not because I don't want to see it. I actually think it'll be amazing. But I just wanted to see Darby Allin in a premium match. And the only way to get this kid into that match would be to take Darby Allin off the show. And I don't want to see that under any circumstances. If that's not the case, perhaps he has a match with Kevin Knight before Wembley. He probably loses that match, and then Darby still gets his opportunity. But either way, it was nice to see young Stephen Borden get some TV time. From there, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking on the Don Callis family. We're talking about Jake Doyle, Mark Davis, El Clon. Talk about a mishmash of just the most ludicrous people being in one faction. Of course, Omega and the Bucks pick up the win. They end up getting jumped by Roppongi Vice and Lance Archer, and there's a whole beatdown after the match. Christian Cage and Cope end up coming out trying to settle things. In the process, Christian eats a super kick from the Bucks, which leads to Christian and Cage start having a pushing match, shoving match with the Young Bucks. It was a little clunky. I'm glad to see Cope and Cage get out there and mix it up with the Bucks a little bit, because you got to build something, to really make that, that angle get over. But the real closer of the night is that Will Osprey comes out and, Kenny Omega blocks him with security and all this. And this is where he really solidifies his heel status right now. And as he's doing that, at one point he talks some trash and Will ends up charging the ring, gets a couple moves on him. But as the security is trying to detain Will, Kenny Omega attacks him. And before the end of the show, ends up putting him in a one-winged angel off the apron through a table onto the floor. Crazy spot to close the show. Very interesting. Really does make Kenny the heel in this feud. And now people are really getting into this main event of All In Wembley. So I don't know how you felt about the show. This to me was so action-packed. So many matches. Fantastic show. This was go-home show quality, in my opinion. Really was. Scale 1 to 5, I'm giving this one 4 3/4 stars. This was about as perfect a show as you can ask for. Some minor tweaks here and there, in my opinion, but I loved it. I really did. I hope you did as well. I don't know how you feel about my analysis when I do these things, but I would love to see you guys give us a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe. I am on every platform of social media known to man, I think. So if you find us on any of those, please do that. It helps with the logarithm. Give us a comment, whatever it is. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And then hopefully we'll see you in a future episode. For the meantime, that's all we have for this episode. Check back with us next time we run down the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, goes to Suno for creating the music and sound effects I use in the show. If you're looking for a new friend to bring the family game night, I got 3 options for you. I've got Sketchy People by Beezle Games, which is like a cross between Chutes and Ladders and Pictionary. If you want to cruise the supermarket and prove that you're the fastest one at getting in and out, you can do that by grabbing a copy of Banani Market by Doodle Games. Or if you want to cruise the cosmos, picking up all the relics to go to the final challenge, do that with Legendary Elements by Fufu Games, all available through the GameCrafter.com. Support independent gamers. It's always helpful. You've been bringing the same board games to Family Game Night for years. Time to try something new. Grab one of these 3 from the GameCrafter.com. If you're looking for your next career move, you're considering college, university life, maybe you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to my website at frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life educational planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Dr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking some time with me tonight. Until next time, take care, everybody. Have a great one.
Wrestling Podcast.